Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Halo Days. Today we're going to be talking about the second phase of the game, the Wings phase. So as I discussed in the first video, the tokens themselves are called flights, and when you put two of them together, it becomes a wing. But certain wings can only form to certain amounts. For example, the UNSC Longsword Bomber can form to a maximum of 5 in a wing. The UNSC interceptors, like the broadsword and the saber, can only form to 4. Covenant is the exact opposite. Their bombers form to 4, and their interceptors can form up to 5. Now we're going to talk about wings movement. Each wing can move 16 inches in every direction as long as it's 360 and straight, of course. Except for the bomber of the Covenant, the Turquoise, it can only move 14 because it sucks cock. Sorry about that. Each wing has the ability to form up with other wings as long as you can form them into illegal wings. So since there's 2 sets here and 1 set here, you could form them into a legal wing. Each type of wing has its own unique abilities. All wings have the option to just move in their respective direction that they choose. The bombers have the option to go on an attack run, which is when they touch an element, they begin what is called being engaged to the element and cannot be attacked from there and try to bomb an element. Fighters cannot do this, but they have 2 other options. They can choose to dogfight actions, which would be to lock a bomber, which they begin to fight with bombers, or they have the option to go on escort duty, which they go around an element and stay next to it. And then as soon as a group of bomber goes to attempt an attack run, the interceptors will intercept them and go into the dogfight action from there. During a dogfight action, each different type of ship has different attack values and a different firepower rating. Both bombers win an attack fight. For each bomber you roll 1 attack die, so in the case of this Covenant it will be 4 attack die, in the case of this UNSC it will be 5, because they're at maximum wings value. But you roll them at firepower 3, so you get no rerolls. So bombers are rolled at firepower 3 and 1 attack die for each. Interceptors, meaning these 2, roll 2 attack die each and are at firepower rating 5. Each ship has 2 hull. So after you break through the damage track of 2, they die. Sabers are a little bit special though. They have 3 and 3, and yes, they still roll at a firepower rating of 5. How dogfights work is like this. Let's per se 2 interceptor wings are locked together. So we would tally up the total of each. There are 5 flights in this wing and 4 flights in this wing. So that means the UNSC would have 8 die and the Covenant would have 10 die. You'd roll the die. After the die has been rolled, you would see who had the most successes, first off. Second off, you would see how many died. Wings die just by the amount of successes that you have. So we're going to say that this group of wings managed to get 6 successes, and this one managed to get 4. So 3 wings here would be destroyed, and 2 wings here would be destroyed. Because 2 for each damage track, that means three groups of three, and 2 groups of 3 for these guys. Now, at the end of the phase, the winning group, which in this case will be the Seraphs, roll how many die they have equal to the amount of ships they have left. So they have 3 flight tokens, so they would roll 3 die. For every exploding success being a 2, another one of the enemy flights is destroyed. So if I were to roll 1, 2 from those 3 dice, I would win the engagement fully, and it would be over. Other rules about locking. Say a group of bombers moves here, and then a group of interceptors came in to intercept and put them in a lock. Well, if the opponent would have their own group of interceptors, they could relock the enemy interceptors, and it would unlock the bombers. However, since they already moved, they can't move now. But let's go back a little bit and say the bombers were already here, and they didn't move yet, and the interceptors come in and lock them. Well, these interceptors could lock the interceptors, freeing the bombers, and then if they did not already move, they could choose to move. Now let's move on to some of the advanced tactics towards bombing runs, otherwise known as attack runs. So, let's say this flight of Seraphs decides to go on escort duty. I will explain this more thoroughly. If any group of bombers goes to go on an attack run, the escort duty will intercept them, and they will be pushed 2 inches away from the formation base, and they will begin a lock. However, per se, the interceptors don't get to move first, and they don't get to lock or run escort duty, and the bombers make it to the formation base first. These interceptors do not have the option to intercept and go into a dogfight with these bombers. It's not an option. They are currently on the ship, and the interceptors can't do anything. So if you'd like to stop bombers from touching your ships, you either have to be on escort duty before bombers get to it, or you have to lock them before they get to it. That's how that's done. Now we'll move on to the bombing section themselves. First, your ship will shoot its point defense die at the bombers. The ORS cruiser has a point defense of 5, so it would roll 5 die. And per every 2 successes, one of the bombers would die. Let's just say it manages to roll 1 success and it sucks completely and didn't even get to blow through. Now, the bombers will move in and attempt to bomb. They roll 2 die at a firepower rating of 4, well, per each flight, when bombing. Now, back when I said when you're in an interceptor fight, you only get to roll 1 die, bombers get to roll 2 against elements, and it's at firepower rating 4. Keep that in mind. So they'll be bombing at firepower rating 4, so that's 5 bombers. That means 10 die. So they'll be attempting to hopefully get over the damage track of 11. Let's say they manage to do it, and they get 15. Somehow miraculously, that would be a really excellent roll. The ORS cruiser now has the option to roll its defense arrays because it has shields. So, next it would roll its defense arrays and try to block the shot. When fighting a Covenant ship, it will always roll its defense arrays. When fighting a UNSC ship, if you've already burnt through the first layer, there's nothing it can do, and it will be bombed. So, point defense, then defense array, or for UNSC, point defense, then titanium armor. But if your titanium armor is burned away, you're taking the damage. Now I'm just going to go on to the last step, which is explain the order of everything. In the wings phase, the person with initiative chooses who goes first, and then that person will choose to move each set of wings. You only move 1 set of wings at a time. So let's say the UNSC goes first, they'll move the Sabres. And then the Covenant will go next, they'll move their Seraphs. And then the UNSC can go again, and they'll move this wing of broadswords. That's how it works, 1 at a time. After they're all moved, you go on to doing each section in order from initiative. So first, the player who was allowed to go first chooses a group, and then the other player chooses a group, and then you just keep going until they're all deactivated and done with. That's it for the wings phase. After you complete that, we go into the battle groups phase. That'll be in the next video. I hope you learned something from this video. See you next time.